install her,
Oh,
which, at least right now,
I
the
mean,
current
I,
burgomaster
I,
has no idea what's coming. Lady Walker, on the other hand, is ready to go to war.
She did reference other like-minded folk in town. So presumably, yes, very much so.
what if we make up a petition and then I forge a bunch of signatures though, because
I meant the
Uh,
townspeople would talk.
uh, I think she would actually just kind of laugh at that. Not like mean, but just that idea just tickles her. Um, ah, if only things were so egalitarian here. Uh, I'm afraid that in this land, old traditions run deep, and blood shall rule, just as it has for centuries. Uh, sort of independent of what the small folk wish.
Isn't the barkeep from a pretty big family?
Um, she would think on that. The Montecarts are a very large and very old house. Um, and as I think we've already discussed, the Wizard of Wine's winery is the Martikov family's domain, but I don't believe they were originally landed nobles as far as the founding of Barovia was concerned. I do think a case could probably be argued that they've certainly earned that station, whether or not Strahd has officially seen fit to award them such a title.
If the town found themselves in a situation where they suddenly had no eligible nobles, they
I
would certainly seem
certainly,
like a popular fit.
she would nod. I think if that were the case, then yes, it could certainly be argued. Uh, in that instance, though, I think my absence would be required. Hopefully to Kresk or back to Barovia Village, not to the graveyard. He would smile, kind of making a bleak joke.
Presumably. Or we could also just kind of wave it off about not splitting up the Kolyanoviches. There are arguments to be made. You having responsibilities back in the village of Barovia.
Indeed. She would sigh. There is one other incredibly distasteful option,
I'm listening.
and she would literally, I think she'd be doing this, just kind of like rubbing her hand across her forehead. Were it to be simply for the purpose of validating a claim, I am technically unwed, and there are several Montakovs of suitable age, though they do live at the winery. In order to legitimize a claim, a deal could be struck. Though I hope it need not be said that would be an oath of duty rather than one of the heart. One I'd rather not take.
I can appreciate the irony in us helping to protect you from unwanted romantic affections and then immediately being forced into a political marriage.
In some sense, and the only reason that I bring it up, to be perfectly honest, it would theoretically prevent some of the legitimacy of Strahd's interest. Though one would certainly hope he would not claim the right of prima nocta.
I assume that would put a pretty big target, though, on whoever that political target would be. They would be in imminent danger almost immediately.
You
I
would
can see
not.
him now as Father Lucian gives some Morning Lord vows and Strahd bursts in through the front door with, well, an illusion of Strahd bursting in through the front door, screaming, I object.
I think that would get an honest laugh out of her again. Oh,
And then he
somehow
torches the
envisioning
place and
him.
takes you to safety.
Mhm.
Relative safety to him.
I was going to say safety by his definition, certainly. Though I will admit the image of our dark ruler so desperate is a rather funny one.
Still
Well.
wear white for weddings? Does he own white clothes?
uh, I have no doubt that somewhere in the vaults of Castle Ravenloft he can find something of white cloth.
Just a closet of dark and brooding outfits.
I hardly think it would look good with his complexion, though.
You just kind of just all like blend together.
Nothing a little bit of foundation couldn't fix.
Just give him a little bit of makeup.
Right. And
Bust
he's
out that disguise kit.
I'm fantastic with makeup.
I could pick out a disguise kit. I could put some
that
blush.
is true.
It's more for
Get some blush
camouflage,
on
but
there.
Disguise Strahd to look like living Strahd.
Mhm. Even worse, by the way. He's not like ghostly pale white. He's like this kind of like faded bruise colored. He's kind of like a purpley gray.
Oh,
Uh,
even perfect. And let's give him some rosy cheeks. He'll be good.
yeah.
I
He's
love the
a
idea.
or was a dusk elf, so he is not human for the record.
Oh, I assume
And
those ears were just vampiric by nature, not elven ears.
you just
Oh,
get them.
Elven.
yeah.
Definitely,
You
yeah.
just grew up from being a vampire.
They're like bad ears. All right, bad.
They do get a little bit of a point, yes, but he was originally an elf.
Oh,
Do like the idea of the party playing Queer Eye for the straight guy with Strahd.
Queer eye for the dead guy. Uh,
Yeah, you don't get to be immortal and actually stay straight either. So like, shit happens.
ain't that the truth?
It's one thing.
That is literally in the module, by the way.
Is it? How does that become relevant?
Because it talks about his current pursuit of Irina and mentions that his consorts have been of multiple genders across the years. And in fact, not that it will ever come up in conversation, so I will mention it. Doru, who you met in Barovia Village that was turned into a vampire spawn, is one of Strahd's consorts, rather.
Yeah. It's like a grooming thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is evil after all.
Yeah, we really need to consider the age and the power gap between his romantic affections.
It's bad.
Like
Bad.
someone.
I figured it'd be just mostly not consensual, mostly manipulative and a weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, charm person is crazy like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, what's a little bit of magical date rape? You know? But yeah.
For hypothetical sake, if we install Lady Walker, she said we would have her full support in our crusade against Strahd. What does her full support look like to us?
Food, wine, money.
We can get that at the end. Money,
Um,
less so.
I do assume
I need a sugar mama.
she almost certainly did mean finances, and if I had to guess, the Walk to Family Vault is like to contain all manner of rare things that would be quite difficult to come across otherwise.
Probably
May
even have
have-
milk.
Yes. There was butter with the rolls. I assume that had to come from somewhere. Um, there's one dairy cow in the base.
Oh.
Chained to the wall.
Chained to the wall with one Minecraft block of grass.
Mother's milk.
Um,
Oh, fuck.
sorry, I think I broke Frank. Uh, but yes, I can only imagine she has all manner of supernatural weaponry and trinkets that could be of use.
But you got that imp too. That's useful. You also not even just for like killing, just for like espionage stuff, for scouting, because
You
This
gonna
is
ask it to
true.
be your familiar?
I mean, oh, I just need to get her as my sugar mama, and then I can ask her to do the imp stuff though, so I don't have to do any sacrificing.
With this repeated use of sugar mama, I'm sorry to throw you under the bus here, Narlug, but I am imagining you detached from the general slang of the human world, imagining just a woman that owns a bakery.
Oh my god, if it rains,
Just gives
she'll
you cookies whenever you want 'em.
Yes, the sugar mama. She provides you with sugary treats, whatever you desire.
I just think it's fucking food
Sounds like the
related.
perfect woman.
Um,
certainly use an arsenal. Not that I necessarily trust her though. And actually, I
If we
want
put the priest in
to
power.
get up and look at the stained glass. I
sure.
want to get a sense of how old I think it is.
Okay.
If it was recently created to try to fleece us, or if
Mhm.
it's much, much older, as she says that at least the prophecy that she overheard is around, oh, I don't know, late to mid 30s years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be decades, right? Irina's probably in her late 20s, and it was supposedly said to her mother, based on what she was implying heavily. Why don't you go ahead and give me a. I feel like history feels the most apt here.
Okay.
Is that for?
Not a high DC. So actually, I feel like that will suffice. I was looking for a 5 because you grew up in a cloister, right? Where
I
there
know
would
what a
be
stained glass is.
plenty of stained glass. You're familiar with, the way a lot of these things age. While this may not be so ancient as the glass beginning to sag in the bottom of the frame, as things do when they're hundreds of years old, you take a look at how it's soldered into the iron that braces it, at the subtle grime and grit that has been, built up. She either has a Hollywood level set dressing team, or this has been here for a while. There's grit and grime, like even if you clean the window, that has found its way down into the gaps, where the glass meets the actual metal. Uh, you can see little chips and scratches on the outside, primarily just where like the weather has done damage to it. Unless this was built to look old, which I suppose is not impossible. This has been here for a while.
Oh, it's crazy that no one said anything about this until we got here to see it ourselves. What a weird thing anyone else would have thought of if they'd seen both things, being the windows and us.
Indeed, it is. Give me an Arcana check because you're investigating the windows.
Boop.
Oh,
I ain't rolling shit.
uh, I don't think you would be able to figure out what it does, but simply by the fact that you spent time investigating them, you do find a number of small runes along the windowsill.
Some illusion nonsense. Now, what do you make of these runes? You know magic.
Narlug's gonna pull at his beard a little bit and take a look at him. Grind his tusks a little bit.
Much better. It's only DC 10 because it is a very low level spell. Narlug kind of like puzzles over it. Good beard tug gets the brain going. It helps pump blood to the brain.
Yeah.
And as you reach out and kind of boop, and poke one of them, the window that he is in front of shifts and just becomes dirty old panes of glass. But if you
Oh.
feel it, Narlug, the stained glass is real. The illusion is the dirty window.
So explain why nobody noticed it before. Maybe she was keeping the stained glass hidden.
Oh, she's keeping the prophecy hidden. She's not.
Mhm.
So she does believe the prophecy. At least that's the conclusion I come to from that.
I think we established that like last session when I did the insight roll, and then
Yeah, but
yeah,
you were convinced. That doesn't mean everybody else was convinced.
that's
If
true.
that makes any
I was
sense.
like, yeah, I believe her. What? She doesn't
Then the
seem
question
shady.
becomes, with that kind of fanaticism, how far does it go and where does it stop?
She
Mm.
seems unlikely to be willing to divert from this path once we are on it. What exactly that may mean, I cannot be certain, but
That's the
Avir
question.
raises a fair point.
Sh- I mean, she did say something about giving the people more freedom, which is better than the current situation that everybody in this town is in.
What cost?
I mean,
Burgermaster's life. I mean,
sacrifices
Just
must be
his.
made. I mean, I'm willing
Was
to
it
sacrifice.
his sons? What about the rest of the family since they could make a claim?
Mm.
I was thinking of killing them both. Yes, Victor and his crazy son on the third floor who likes to do weird magic stuff.
Yes, that is Victor. Vargas is the
Vargas is the
Burgermaster.
dad. And
I'm sorry, they're all V names.
And
He has
there and
three
there's
other sons that are all named with V. They're not really plot important. I'm not gonna bother making you try and tell them apart. He has three
Perfect,
failed
because I
sons
because
that are
I
not
wasn't
relevant
gonna.
to the plot. Um, but on the note of Victor, it is rumored, and not just because of what Lady Wachter said, that he has a command of the arcane energies himself. He may not be wise to fully underestimate. Uh, I don't exactly wish to speak in defense of him, uh, of course. He is young, and removing him along with Vargas is somewhat distasteful. But I will also point out that Lady Wachter is convinced that he did something to Stella that broke her mind. Her daughter, by the way. She only came up in passing, so just as a reminder. He may not be innocent in all of this.
How old is Victor? Do we have any
Late
rough
teens.
estimation?
Yeah.
Late teen
He's
with
he's been referred to a couple times as a man almost grown.
Almost grown.
late
Yes.
teen with a little bit of an understanding of the arcane. At the very least, expect alarm to be in that house.
At the very least on his chamber doors so that nobody walks in
Yeah,
on him.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, teenagers. You don't want that.
Amen.
So if we were to pay Vargas a visit tonight, that would be something to be very, very aware of. Maybe I should ask Lady Wachter if she would allow me to examine Stella. Maybe I can see something that she did not. Something a little bit more magic in nature.
Mhm. It is something she may be amenable to, though I have a feeling she's more liable to say yes if you have agreed to her cause. Um,
The way I see it is knowing what's going on makes me more likely to agree with her cause, but also could also be a token of good faith if we're able to do something about it. Although,
that
if I
is
had to
true.
guess, it will require some divine juice that I may not get for. If I had to summarize the amount of divine wisdom I incur over adventures on a scale of 1 to 20, probably somewhere around 5.
Good guy. We have the same running bit in our freaking Witchlight campaign, by the way. We always refer to levels in like the most abstract way. And it is also a running bit, particularly my character, the druid, will refer to, well, since we're considering this, if one were to extrapolate how you might, say, plot out a story, the most likely twist would be like he will, in the narrative, like criticize the meta plot, like talk about the adventure's writing quality.
Right now, that running joke keeps being level 5 because everyone needs greater restoration.
Yes. And for what it's worth, that will be coming reasonably soon.
I think I get cool stuff at level 5 too.
Almost certainly. Almost
Yeah,
everybody
well,
does.
yeah, we still need to hit 4 though first. So
Yes.
we're still a ways away. We are
Yes.
I mean,
conceivably months.
and we've done our whole.
Or after the events of this evening, for the record, full disclosure. So have that in mind.
And we need diamonds, who hopefully our bakery mother would be able to supply us with.
Probably
Bakery
Mother
mother.
also was
I love that.
purported to perhaps have diamonds, and we've neglected to ask. I needed to consult my journal, which I only recently did.
I'm sorry.
Whoops.
Who is reported to have diamonds?
Father Lucian.
Ah, yes.
I had to really scroll up my notes to see that.
It is a common and important reagent in works of divine miracle, as you know.
Yeah. The guy at the stockyard
Yes. Arasek.
told us. Yeah. He had made mention of it.
Yep. Gunter Arasek, by the way.
Gunta.
So I suppose it does sound as though we're leaning towards a decision here. At the very least, ought we to go along with Lady Wachtter's plans
I
for
don't like
now?
her plan. I want to side with Lady Wachter, I think. I think it provides us a lot of benefit. And
Yeah.
There's
she's
not saying we
probably a
can't
piece
just
of shit.
overthrow her later.
Yeah, she's probably a piece of shit, but we know that Vargas is a piece of shit. So we can deal
I
with
mean,
that when
like
the
who's
time
who's the
comes.
who's the worst piece of shit in this situation?
We don't know. We have a known known and a known unknown.
Mm, I don't like
And
this
then
forced
the
religion.
unknown unknowns.
She's never done anything to me to make me feel like a part of a feces, but she fed me. She had awesome hieroglyphics of me. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the other guy's a jerk.
Yeah, he's a
I,
real
I,
piece of
I
shit.
Just
felt
because
I
somebody
felt
made a deal with, a lesser likely being doesn't make them necessarily a bad person.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say probably because the only other nice people that we've come across have told us that the doctors are nice people.
If nice is letting me use your establishment, then I've met a lot of nice people.
No, I wouldn't say that's as far as that goes. That's not what nice means.
Exactly.
Maybe I should say kind. At any
Unkind,
rate,
yes. For
what do you
what
think
it's
the odds of us are convincing her to make alternative plans? That when we have a big raging stampede of people, potentially, we simply keep the peace for a day. She'll probably need some other pitch, if she even listens at all.
Are you suggesting that we forestall removing Vargas from power? Or simply that we do it in a different, less public way?
In a less public manner.
Hmm.
Because if we do it in public, the risk of a riot is all the same.
She would
Or at
not.
least some way to control the public,
She
if it were to
seemed.
be public.
Yeah, no, it'd be a real shame if there was like an accident that happened.
Indeed.
She did seem somewhat amenable to other methods. It was discussed earlier that perhaps a unfortunately timed fire with how much kindling has been stored at the Burgomaster's Manor might be a suitable justification.
So, just I don't know if this is how it's used typically though, but can a piece of like a long piece of string though be used as like a wick
You wick it with something.
If soaked in
or
oil or wax, certainly.
yeah?
Unless you're asking that out of character, in which
I'm
case
asking
the
this out
answer
of
is the
character.
same, but not in Irina's
Yeah.
accent.
Okay. No, because this is something that because I know you can use it for like tripwire and stuff like that though, but I wasn't sure if
Mhm.
like if you lit it on fire or something like that though, that you can kind of like use it to like safely set something on fire without being noticed.
Sure. I mean, you'd have a burning wine or whatever, but
Yeah.
I mean, we could
you could also
also
fill a small bottle with oil in a rag.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, I
we
would go.
have the technology. We could engineer a flintlock like mechanism.
Also, wait a second. Narlug throws fire.
So do I.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, because he's got. You could just do that as a cantrip too,
He
because
could
he's
just
got.
produce flame.
Does that actually make fire?
Yeah.
Unlike fireball?
So produce flame will ignite flammable objects.
Okay.
No,
Pretty sure
yeah,
Fireball destroys all things not being carried too. Might be mixing that with something else.
It does, but it doesn't typically create persistent fire
Right.
unless the
Just
thing
blows
that
it
is
up.
being fireballed is like an ignition source. Like if you fireball a pool of oil, it will catch on fire. But if you fireball like a room with wood walls and a floor, that won't go up because it's not like quick to ignite. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, anything flammable that isn't being worn.
Yeah.
What about like a dust explosion? How would a fireball interact with that?
I would argue for extra damage. If you
I
were
mean,
able to engineer a situation where that would happen.
Yeah, like if you had a closed room full of flour.
Yes. Yeah. What Mike is
Not applicable in
referencing,
this
in case
situation.
people aren't aware, is yes, literally like if you have a room with too much flammable particulate in the air, it creates an explosion when exposed to fire. That's a big thing in industrial safety. You have to worry about the dust
oh,
levels because a spark could blow the factory up.
oh, I mean, what's the range
Yeah, basically one particulate catches fire and another because they're all close together until poof.
Yep.
Oh, I
And then you
mean,
get a blast wave.
hmm,
But yes, the question is simply whether or not we can manage to burn the manor down. She would gesture like up at the chandelier above you guys. Oil lamps are the most common light source of the land. There's certainly plenty of ignition sources, not to mention all of the kindling in his foyer.
so I'm gonna point this out here. So, one thing that we could also do too, since I have this though, because I know you could like open and close like windows.
Yes, you can.
So with this though, so you could like open a window from the outside though,
As long
and
as it's
then
unlocked. Yes.
oh, right. I don't know, I've been sitting on this for like since we started though. I was like, figure you see, find a
Mhm.
use to use it. So I was like, this seems like a good idea, especially trying to hit a chandelier too. If Narla can hit that too,
Mhm.
if we could do it at quietly and at a range too, so nobody, it would just look like an accident and wouldn't be tied to us.
That is true.
So, I'm assuming everyone's talking under the impression that we burn his house and him with it, as well
Yes.
as everyone else inside of it,
The
which could
question
include
is,
family, servants, guards.
well,
They all
out
seem
of
like pretty
character.
terrible people.
I mean, if they're working directly under him though, they're probably not good people.
Sure.
Drain the swamp, as we say in the forest.
I mean, these aren't innocent civilians that would be in danger.
I
The
don't
maids,
know if,
perhaps, but
yeah, servants just trying to earn some money.
Yes, but it's
We
not
don't
like
know what they have or have not done, and
we're
it
not
is
gonna
not our
ignite the
place to
house
judge
in a
them.
single motion. He's gonna light his room on fire. They have plenty of time to escape. I
the
was
way
thinking
that
how we
I
could lock him in
understood
his
it,
room without him escaping.
well, the way I understood it when we discussed it earlier is that, well, it's pretty hard for a corpse to run from a house fire.
Yeah.
There was discussion of slitting throats in the night.
There was.
I like that discussion.
You would.
I'm up for a hunch.
I mean,
Still not a big fan of the idea, but I don't really like a lot of the alternatives. But even then, how do you
this
do that without the guard showing up?
I do it as a guard.
What are coup de grace rules in 5e?
Auto crit, auto hit
What the fuck is
in
coup de
melee.
grace?
In 3.5, it's the equivalent of like if somebody's downed and you attack them,
Ah,
it's automatic crit, automatic, hit. It's used to be if somebody was down and unconscious because of the way that rules for dying work in 5e, you have negative hit points up to -10. It was automatic crit, automatic maximum damage.
Hmm.
Uh, so basically, like if you down an enemy, the finishing blow is basically guaranteed.
that's it right
I mean,
there.
and then then I would get I guess this would also proc a sneak attack too, and then
Like,
max damage
Oh,
for
I
all
guess
missiles.
not auto hit, but auto crit if you hit. My
I
mistake.
was thinking if he was asleep.
Unconscious is asleep.
Yes.
What's this unaware of its surroundings? I don't know if that counts for hearing.
No, he is correct. Unconscious is asleep.
Okay.
I mean, that
You
makes
just
sense.
send a spider in, paralyze him, and then burn the house.
That is also true. And that spider
Just
is very sneaky, especially if pre-buffed with fucking Pass Without Trace.
probably
Right.
sleeping with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Unless
Hey,
he
you ain't gotta
has
bite her.
a maid that he likes to visit in the night.
I mean, adultery
Which he
is.
seems like a piece of shit, so I wouldn't run it past him.
I mean, well,
You
yeah. How do
did
you feel about
hear,
killing adulterers?
yeah. Is adultery punishable by death?
No, I'm just saying he's a piece of shit.
Yeah. The only thing I will say about the wife is you did not meet her. But you did, as you were house, some fairly obnoxious cackling and then a bunch of nervous agreeing laughter as though someone were holding a ladies' luncheon and seemed to be not the most enjoyable company. That's all you've heard of her, though. I'm a little bit surprised you didn't thaumaturgy to like really hammer the point home with her. By the way, Frank,
Oh,
cause all the
yeah.
flames in the room to, do whatever.
So
Eyes
you
to
remember
go
when I asked
red
about
or
the eye color of the stained glass window?
I see. You're trying to match.
Yeah, I was trying to match it.
Yeah,
So,
you can certainly make your eyes glow all holy if you want.
yep. So I was like saying, it's like, cause you said it wasn't like 1 for 1, so I was like, it's probably not gonna. But just to like, trying to like make her think that the prophecy of me being there though is like for sure a thing though.
Mhm.
But then she seemed pretty believable or believing in it, so I was like, I probably didn't need to do it, but it probably would have been cool just to do it.
Mhm.
But I was thinking about that when I was sitting at when I was like thinking if I how I kept on asking about if I was aware of the stained glass window and if it
Oh,
was
I see. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to gatekeep you from that.
no, that's fine. But I was just seeing if it would be necessary for me
Mhm.
to use that for eye color purposes.
I understand.
Because it's so it says so components V though that's just like a visual though, so would that be like a hand like
Component
gesture?
verbal.
Verbal?
Spoken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm,
And most cantrips are a word or two,
okay.
Alakazam!
basically.
Where do Ezek's allegiances lie? If the dog suddenly finds himself without a leash, will he lash out as if he's cornered? Whimper for a new master.
This is a good question.
He is a known unknown. And that creepy room that we saw, or Yakubachi saw and told us about, is that his room? Is he staying in Vargas's mansion?
He
He
had
is
he had a special
something of
key
an
for it.
adopted son of Vargas.
What was that, Zach?
He had a
He's
special key.
something of an adopted son of
Sorry, you're both Zach. I
Vargas.
fucked up, but I heard you both this time.
Yes. Um, and I think that was mentioned briefly by someone. I can't remember if it was the Martikovs or if it was Lady Wachter, but yes, he was an orphan that was taken in by Vargas and kind of brought up to become what he is. So if you're wondering where his allegiances lie, he's probably fanatically devoted to Vargas. And
I'd say theoretically. We don't tussle with Ezek tonight. And Vargas's mansion burns down, and suddenly there's a new burgomaster tomorrow at the festival, or whatever it turns into. I really doubt Ezek's just going to let that go.
hmm, well, you're almost certainly correct. The question is whether or not he'd be bold enough to attempt to interrupt the coronation of the new Burgomaster, or if he would simply bide his time and attempt revenge when the moment is right. He is dangerous, though. That much I'm certain of.
When the time comes to
About
deal with Isak, I'd rather deal with him with a Burgomaster he doesn't like than one that he does.
Yeah, it's a be a safe assumption.
Mhm.
more about what he'll do next so we can try to anticipate what precautions we need to take. What about the rest of the city guard? Are there any rumors or whispers about any particular allegiance they have, or are they mostly in it for the paycheck?
Um, Irina would kind of shrug. It has been several years since I've been a regular visitor of Valaki. Perhaps either Lady Wachter or maybe the Monticals would know better. As far as I understand it, Danica has the ear of nearly everyone in town. She would smile. It's easy when you're the one that supplies the ale, after all.
Definitely would like Danica's opinion on who she thinks would be the best Burgermaster for Valaki. But that will likely come after we've informed Lady Wachter of our decision. Not that we always have to follow through on it necessarily.
I don't see why we can't do a little investigating, a little hunting of information.
So is that the plan then? Tell Lady Wachter that we are in agreement with her intent, if not her methods, and then seek further counsel?
I think that's about where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Narlug will nod.
And if there are deaths I can prevent, I would like to do so. I don't know where I'm going to be able to do that, though. As much as I know everyone wants Vargas's head to fall, if we could somehow imprison or exile would be preferable to me. But I don't see that as terribly likely.
If I just convince him, just be like, hey, do you want to just leave town forever?
People
Do
that
you
get
want
off on having that kind of power are extremely reluctant to give it up.
you want to just be like, yeah, I could just tell him it's like, hey, you want to just leave town? No one likes you.
No one likes you. Listen, I got something to tell you, buddy.
Like I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm gonna level with you here, man. As your friend, as
Keep
your
it
friend.
100.
Here, come on, sit down. I'll grab us a beer.
Possibility of imprisonment or exile is certainly there, though if it were to be imprisonment, I think it would have to be in secret, given that it's likely difficult that we can come up with an offense so great that might be convincing enough to justify the imprisonment of him and his entire family. One could, of
According with the devil
course,
himself.
yes, but with what evidence?
They did burn down that house with the vampires.
You still got that letter though?
Yes. Tis but a letter, though.
A single letter, but a small spark can certainly ignite all of it, which may also cause a riot, which we're trying to avoid. But if
Yes.
we already have him,
One letter
no
that
need to riot.
points to someone else. And she would turn to look at Ralmir. But you've mentioned that you have skills with the forger's tools. A letter from the Burgomaster to Henrik Vandervoort. Or perhaps from this Vasily von Holtz to the Burgomaster as well.
And plenty of people did see that vampire spawn burst into flames.
Facts.
Hmm.
Not all of them. But, I
But
don't know,
enough.
how large would you all say the crowd was?
Humans and their
Perhaps
politics.
10 to 12 people.
Who's be the one to judge? Who would be the jury to accuse him of not his own people, his own aid?
I'm trying not to have everyone play executioner. That's the whole point.
Yes, but then he
We
goes
don't
in
just go
exiled. He
around
gets
killing
prison.
things.
No, we don't. Apparently, because there's rules and they'll jail us. But
And now he's being jailed.
yes, but with his power, his money, his pull, who's to say he doesn't just get out on a misfile of paperwork or the loss of the letter after we turn it in, and he comes back with a vengeance, knowing that we captured him. He can't come back if he can't come back.
Pretty far gone from a simple misfiling of record.
Well, you got pull
Now
like a
there are
Burgermaster does.
ways for him to be out, and I think Ezek would be the prime way that he gets out. But there's a lot of what ifs in that whole plan right now, anyway. Just because Lady Walker would want to be a part of it, and oh, however that goes down, I'm sure she does not want to risk any sort of chance of anyone else being able to stake a claim on Burgermaster. And I believe if these are the laws of Barovia, the only person that could strip his nobility status would be Strahd,
That
and thus extending to the entire family line. Otherwise, Victor would be the next Burgermaster.
that is true, unless Victor were to also be implicated. The townsfolk are simple-minded.
That's a nice way to put it.
It
Yeah,
I
they
can
don't
may
still
really
hear, by
not.
the
budge.
way.
Yeah, I figured. It may not be so difficult of a pitch to convince them that the entire family was involved in this decision. Victor is, in some ways, being groomed to take Vargas's position when it is time.
What are the taxes like here? Where does the noble money come from?
Well, certain families earn their additional wealth in trade of coveted goods, uh, or perhaps trade of information, but the taxes are considerable. Um, you may have a different civil system in Faerun, but here the peasantry owns nothing, and the fruits of their labor that they keep are only enough to feed themselves and their family. The products
May
of the
not.
fields are given to the town, and the town is the Valakovich family. Or not, yes, Valakovich family. Uh, Lady Wachter, though, well, the Wachter lineage has been wealthy since the first settlers arrived here, along with the remnants of conquering army. Her gold runs deep, and as you may know, 2 coins left long enough alone, like third.
It may not be that out of mind to implicate his motive for simply being greedy. The taxes are that high and lives in that mansion like a king. Who's to say he wouldn't sell a few more people out for a few more coins?
Is possible. The two most likely reasons I could see are greed or cowardice.
Everyone already kind of knows that the all will be well is just posturing and projecting anyway.
Mhm.
So both work.
Well, shall we inform Lady Wachter at least of our intent to aid her? And perhaps Danica might provide more insight as to how.
I think it's safe to, at least for now, tell Lady Wachter that we wish to be of assistance.
Right. It'll help once we have more information to further our plans.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot up in the air, a lot of maybes, but at least I think this is a step we can take for sure. At least I don't necessarily plan on telling her absolutely not and storming out of here, kind of regardless of what the answer was.
Right, she is tied with the Infernal. I don't think it's gonna be as simple as just walking out.
Very well then. And she will just stand up and kind of like unsure of exactly what to do, will just knock loudly on the door and kind of shrug and take her seat again. Um, and after, you hear footsteps up above. And after a few moments, the door would open and Lady Wachter would enter. And rather than sitting, she will stand, both of her many ringed hands on the back of the chair in front of her, and look intently first at Ralmir and then to the rest of the. Have you reached a decision then?
Reveal kind of look at Romir expectantly.
And I think despite her being kind of imperious and imposing earlier, she fidgets a little bit.
So I just tell him with I go through just with the plans that we're having.
Okay.
Yeah. And trying to
Not feeling it or can't remember them all.
not like all the little details that we all plan on doing though, but I figure just mainly just the assassination and the not
Uh,
not doing the
sure.
riot,
Um,
but still putting her into power,
mhm.
just not through chaos.
What about the maybe forgery trick?
Yeah.
You want to include that, or you don't want to reveal the whole hand just yet?
Forgery. I mean, it could give her different options too. So just anything to not do the riot.
You would.
Also, I was curious about like this is me just asking out of character, but how like the forgery works though. So do I just like pick like just a stat that
It's a roll, and I don't recall which.
because I was like
Um,
because I looked it up on the just on the thing here. So
my guess is it's either Dex or Int.
yeah, I'm just gonna copy and paste this here.
I think it's DM's call what the modifier is.
Yeah.
So and then when I clicked it on my character sheet though, it's just giving
Yeah.
me
Let's see. 5e forgery. Ah, okay. Interesting. Yeah, so that's kind of what I expected. Um, it's dependent upon what you're forging, because it's not like super. Yeah, so that's what. Yeah, there you go. That's basically what I'm looking at. So even that though doesn't like really tell you exactly what your intelligence check using a forger kit determines the DC for somebody else's intelligence investigation to spot the fake. But um, I think the DCs are kind of superfluous then, like at the bottom.
Yeah, if you roll 14, you just don't do it. It's just not good enough to even fool anybody.
Well, that's not quite how I view it, though. I think if you roll a
Maybe it's just shitty.
14, well, that just means that the DC for them to spot it is low. So like you could roll a 5 and it's still forged. You didn't fail to create a written document. It's just going to be really easy to tell. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Just have your friends look it over before you submit it.
Right.
I mean, I guess I could like, like write the signature on there like so badly though that it like just tears the paper.
That is true. You could forge something so poorly that you think throwing it in the fireplace is one step to make it look up. Um, but anyway, Lady Wachter would listen as you're kind of giving her the slow sell and nod along. Um, at the lack of desire to kill Vargas, you see her frown just a little bit. Um, her kind of resting stank face deepens a bit. Um, and as you reach the end of your explanation, she will stand in silence for a moment and take a deep breath in and let it out slowly. While I certainly feel as though it is important for Vargas to be removed, I suppose it is not required that it is a permanent removal in such a way. I believe that his death may prove useful. Insight.
Gotcha.
You can see as she kind of hesitates there. But you don't quite pick up exactly what she's saying, I'm afraid, with a 6. It is not technically required. As long as he is removed from office, and as long as he no poses a threat to both my and Valaki's support of your inevitable crusade against Lord Strahd, I do not see why this is not a suitable course of action.
Uh, what about others of us with proficiency and insight? Also, I kind of want a separate insight
Yeah,
on
yeah.
her saying Lord Strahd too.
She said it before. Like sarcastically, but she made a
Okay.
point of we call him what he is in this
Yeah,
house.
I referred to like
There's
last
no
session.
euphemism. Yeah, go ahead and insert.
Yeah,
Okay,
last
okay.
session I referred to him as the beast, and she told me I don't have to do that here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
It
and
was
for
it
the
was just
record,
very formal sounding this time, so I was like, well, if we're already rolling inside, that's what my ears are perking up at.
fair. I sort of meant that to sound like Lord Strahd.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Um, but yeah, I mean, you're free to make an insight. Anybody is, although that would catch it. As she's talking about his death being useful, you sense she's obliquely saying, well, it's related to those sacrifices you mentioned. It's possible that in exchange for his departure from this plane of existence, there may be something in it for him as well, and not just the Burgomaster's chair. Souls are a very valuable currency in the lower planes after.
hmm.
Well, shit, I'll die eventually.
Yes, but if you promise to deliver a soul and you wait for them to die of natural.
I mean, you just cut out though, but I'm going to assume you said it won't work.
Yes, I said
Okay.
if you promise a soul and wait to die of that soul.
Still cut out again though, but I assume I know where
Really?
you. Yeah, it was like both both times you expl. You haven't cut out this whole session except for both those 2 times in the last or like 30 seconds.
Let's test if this statement is just cursed. All
I
right.
guess so. You could
If
try it
you
a third
wait for
time.
somebody to die of normal old age and typical mortal causes, I don't think you could argue that you delivered that soul.
All right, yeah, I heard that completely good the
Okay.
third time, but I figured that's exactly what you said
Yeah.
anyway. So,
I
because
just was
that's
testing whether or not the internet hated that sentence.
okay. So, yeah, but yeah, letting someone die from natural causes is not a sacrifice.
Correct.
If the fine print says sacrifice, that's one thing. You gotta check the fine print with the devils.
Well, what if we
Because
like?
technically, if you kill it, the soul is still leaving the body of its own volition. Like, and whether he dies natural causes, it also just does that.
What if we like trap him in a like in a room though, and then he still like kind of sort of dies from natural causes, and then
If you jail someone and then starve them to death, yes, I would argue committing murder.
it would just take a while.
It's a slow murder, but it is a murder. Uh, I guess you could argue that the murder weapon is natural causes in that case. Yes, you've successfully looped me. You'd make an excellent Fey or devil.
I mean, I
Uh,
didn't do the killing.
Side
I
note: there are
shot him with a
mechanics
gun.
for.
It is
You're
a
right.
natural result of a bullet wound that you died.
There you
Natural
go.
causes.
I just bled out. It's fine.
Yes, he died of the natural cause of too much blood outside of his body.
Could happen to
Uh,
anyone.
but yes, interestingly enough, we did play the first half of Descent into Avernus, and there are very in-depth mechanics for negotiating contract. Um, and in fact, one of our characters did sell their soul in exchange for something, so it was really fun to go through that and do the legalese negotiation.
Oliver's not going to call her out at the.
Fair enough.
Everyone, I feel like a lot of people kind of know what the score is anyway, and I don't think that gives us enough insight that it's
Mhm.
actionable.
Very well. If we are in agreement, in at least the sense of the end result of this, I believe that I must hold up my end of the bargain. My resources shall be available to you. And she will snap her fingers, and from outside of the door, Carl and Nikolai will enter the room. And you would notice that they are already carrying, you did not hear them go get these things, several boxes of various size that all look like very well made hardwood chests that one would use to store things of considerable value. Um, she would glance at the murals in the windows. Um, and I assume Narlig, you would have to avoid looking like you'd tampered with stuff.
Yeah, would have
Um,
turned it back on or off.
yeah, I figured you would have. But she will look, and as they walk around the table, I'm not going to bring them, and place a box in front of each of you. You would spot as you open them each of these things in the murals on the walls. Most of these are going to be easy to find in the compendium, but if something does not come up for you, let me know. Um, so, Ervir, interestingly, uh, as you reach out and open this small box, I'll just go through a quick description of each, assuming that you guys are going to accept these gifts.
Oh yes.
Yeah, from her, of course.
Or I don't know if Ervir would be first. I can start elsewhere if you would like.
Uh, no, I think he knows what this is. It's like, yeah, we don't love
Mhm.
her, but let's see what she has to offer, and
Very
great
well.
or evil and all that. Strahd's the real target.
You open up this little box, and you find inside a silver chain that bears a pendant. And the pendant, as you open the box, is a sort of unremarkable little lump of unglossy silver. But as you reach out and you touch the chain, the pendant shifts and morphs and takes on the scales of Kelemvor's holy symbol. And this is an amulet of the devout. Go ahead and I can maybe pull it from your amulet. Make sure it's in here.
Is it
Plus
plus
1.
one? Okay.
Yes.
I was gonna say
Right,
if there's
that's
if
your
there's a
inventory.
handout for it, you might be able to search it in the actual library.
It's not from the mod.
Oh.
But he can do that and then add it to his inventory by dragging and dropping.
Oh.
And yes, so as you lift it out of the box, it takes on the form of your holy symbol. Narlug, your box contains a pendant as well, although I will note this is not a magical necklace. This is just an item, but it's like literally just an independent thing you can pick up and use when you hold it. However, the way it's delivered to you is in the form of a necklace for easy transport. A finely wrought golden chain that has a small golden cage on the end of it, and inside rests a beautiful pearl. And as you kind of go to touch it, you sense a small spark of magic between it and you. This is a pearl of power.
Oh, power. Nice.
Yes. Akabachi, you open your box up, and what's presented here might not necessarily immediately catch your attention. You're familiar with a number of different ways that druids can use their focuses in terms of different shapes and forms. One would assume that your Malar focus would not look exactly like many other. Sprig of mistletoe, I imagine it would be a bundle of claws or teeth. But this is a small wooden bundle that contains many flowers that could not possibly be this preserved without magic. And it is a sprig of mistletoe as well as the an old tree you can recognize. But the thing that catches your eye is the acorn.
Huzzah!
And as you fiddle with it, you recognize this as it is the spell focus you've been looking for, summon beast. So in and of itself, it is not a magic item, but that is a very big price tag you do not have to pay. Ralmir, your box is longer and thinner.
What she said.
And in fact, it can't be anything but a sword. And this is technically not an official item, but I think it is both perfect for. And I cut out. I'm waiting. Yes. Am I audible
Suspense is
again?
killing
I
me.
was like, oh man, I was like, what is it? I was like, oh man.
I'm just going to send you the link. I can make you a thing of this, but this is a
I,
beautiful basket hilted rapier. And here you are. A very noble looking weapon, all gold filigree and fine lines. It is a +1 rapier, and it will give you the opportunity to parry. In the option or in the off chance that something does hit you, you might be able to add your proficiency bonus to AC in order to deflect that attack as a reaction. Or if somebody misses you, you can use your reaction to take an attack of opportunity on them.
oh, that's that is that normal for rapiers or
This is a
No,
magic item.
no?
That
Okay.
is
pretty
a
good.
yes. as a rare tier magic item. I will point out, be careful with spending that reaction because your uncanny dodge also a reaction.
Oh, I see. Well, I don't have uncanny dodge yet, so
You don't, but you will. So I'm just saying that's really
okay.
good right now, but early
Don't be
economy will
over
catch up with you.
don't be over reliant on it
Right.
later down the road. So I can use my
Yeah.
uncanny dodge.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Pick that for balance reasons. I don't think I would give that to Ayakobachi, where druids have very minimal.
I'm bonus that. I'm reaction, giving my homies advantage every turn I can.
Mhm. I guess that's fair. I forgot that's a thing you do.
And I don't want to be in melee range anyway.
Yeah. Just the deflect is really fucking good for any. That's something I'd be happy to have on sorcerer matters. But yes. So each of you should be able to drag that into your inventory. I will also make you item handouts and give them to you, but I didn't have time before today's session. But yes, she provides you these gifts. And as you open them, there is one final gift for Irina. And while it is not necessarily immediately quite as, visually impactful, it is a folded cloak. But as she lifts it out, it seems to be made of fine silk that glitters in almost a metallic way. Um, and to her, Lady Wachter will simply turn and say, "To offer additional protection against the advances of dear Overlord." And Irina will quirk an eyebrow and kind of run it through her hands and will nod in thanks to Lady Wachter. These items are of great value, as you have no doubt understood. I would caution you that I do not give them lightly. I expect results one way or the other. And then the dour moment is gone, and she claps her hands together, the rings all clinking and clattering. Well,
Hmm.
I shall not hold you longer. I believe we have had a very, very productive social luncheon, and I wish to leave you free to enact whatever plans you may wish for the rest of the day. Time ticks ever onward, though, and remember, the festival is in the morning. I would hope, perhaps, at least the first steps have been taken by then. Or else, perhaps, other things may need to nudge them along.
I'm gonna do an insight roll to see if I could like read in between the lines of that. So
Mhm. Yeah. I don't think she's hiding it particularly intentionally, any just typical noble double speak, where it's distasteful to come out and say it. She mentioned earlier in, although technically it was last session, that she planned to incite a riot. That was her initial intent, and that she believes, enough people on her side to force them to storm the stage and kill Vargas themselves. So you have time to do this, but she's not willing to wait longer than this month because she
okay,
believes the festival is the time that the people will be most on her side because they all hate this.
okay. I didn't know if it was like it's like you take care of it or we're gonna take care of us type of thing. So
Oh, she wasn't saying she was going to take care of you, but she's saying she's
right, or
going
it's like
to take
his
care of
like because
him.
like we accepted these gifts though, so it's like hey,
Hmm.
do this or we're gonna kill you. I didn't know if it was one of those things.
There's some of that there for sure, but she's more saying that don't act against her, or she will kill you.
I mean, yeah, I kind of figured that. I want to do anything to my sugar mama. That's fine.
Depending on the shape that our plan takes, we
Right? How
could
awesome would it
make
be if
Agree,
it was just
babe.
a box full of cakes?
That's what Narlug wanted. Narlug wanted a platter of cookies.
How literal sugar.
Yes. That is in one of the Dimension 20 seasons, that's an item they come across. They make friends with an ice djinn that runs a literal ice cream parlor in their little town, and he gives them a bag that is refrigerated, and all they have to do is speak a command word, and they can pull infinite ice cream sandwiches from it.
Oh, is it like the what was it? The alchemy jug though, but with ice cream.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny note: the alchemy jug got the word mayonnaise banned from our D&D game.
You don't say. I wonder why.
It produces mayonnaise, but of
Oh
course,
no! Oh no!
Oh, that was the first thing we did with it.
I made it. No, because I'm playing a fucking Loxodon though, so I'm having the mayonnaise drip from my trunk.
oh god, yep.
We had,
Basically, that's what it was.
we had mayonnaise with sandwiches. It was great.
We were trying to play, and it devolved into 90 minutes of mayonnaise jokes. And
That's exactly what happened when I got the jug.
mhm.
No, I know all about the jug of alchemy.
But it's a wonderful item. But yes, Lady Wachter and Carl and Nikolai would wish you all well. And I
As we're
think
as we're leaving,
begin to usher you out.
yeah, I'd like to thank
ahead.
her for the gifts and
Mhm.
be like, where I'm from, uh, nothing is gifted without a gift in return, and I'll reach in my jacket very menacingly and
Hmm.
pull out the raven feather and be like, here you go. And I want to see if she recognizes it.
Interesting. I think I actually need a roll here. Go ahead and roll me insight. She has a modifier, but okay. Her modifier of I'm not going to tell you is not enough to beat the 11. So, yeah, as you hand it to her, there is a beat where she definitely, like, very, very tiny, but she quirks an eyebrow a little bit, like a, subconscious reaction. But she then turns it into a full, like, imperious noble trying to be like, what is this dirty forest man giving me? She believes that you're all this, but Ralmir is the one that really has her eye. But she will take it, and there's a slight tremor in her fingers, but I do not know the significance of this, but it is a beautiful token. I thank you for your generosity. And she will tuck it behind the brooch she's wearing, so it just looks part of it.
Oh, that's nice.
And offer you like the slightest inclination of the head. But yes, you do sense some sort of recognition there, but it's not guilt. If you think like she was fucking with you in some way, that's not what you get. You just get a more of like a how is that involved?
Got
And
it.
she puts it away and smiles.
And I'll thank her for the acorn. They're very hard to find.
Mhm.
And I'll be on my way.
A gilded acorn, for what
Yeah,
it's worth.
very gilded and hard to find.
Yes. Um, especially here where it's mostly pine forest.
Right. Yeah, I'll go with the group, and I'll just be like, as we walk
Mhm.
out, I'll be like, I think she knows about that raven that messed with us. Maybe not her own, but it seemed like she knew what it was from. As we kind of walk, get a little farther away.
The one that shit on my shoes?
The same.
The one that shit on your shoes.
Could have been nicer to the one at the mill.
Could be the same one.
Could be.
I've heard crows can communicate.
I can communicate with all animals, but that wouldn't communicate with me, so I don't believe it's a crow. Or a raven, excuse me.
That's why it's shit in your shoes.
Because it's not a crow. Exactly. Or a raven.
Faces.
As you are all kind of heading back over towards the blue water, which is here, not too far, you would actually come across at about this intersection a small commotion um, in the street. And there is a pair of guards that are pretty much fully dragging a woman through the streets. She is in manacles, both wrists and feet, and they are pulling her towards the town square. She's not like kicking and screaming or anything, she's just stopping. Um, and they're not like turning anyone away. In fact, if anything, they are doing their best to make as much noise as possible and draw as much attention to themselves as possible. Um, and you catch like, you know, a shout of, um, "It is good to see that you have not thought resistance to be in your best interest. All of Valaki will see your shame." And I don't know if you want to follow them or not, but this transpires as you are passing through.
Humans are so cruel. They don't even let their prey try to escape. They just drag them around in chains. It's horrible.
Burger wants to take the bait.
Fair enough. But yeah, they drag her down towards this large open area. Um, and this is the town square. I actually think somehow you guys have kind of managed to not walk directly through this area. Um, the shops and homes that enclose the town square are decorated with limp, tattered garlands and painted wooden boxes filled with tiny dead flowers. At the north end of the square stands a row of stocks, locked in which are several men, women, and children, plastered donkey heads. In the center of the square, peasants in patchwork clothes cast suspicious eyes at both you and the guards as they're using cups, vases, and buckets to pull water from the stone in here. Standing tall at the center of the fountain is a gray statue of an impressive-looking man facing west. Um, and all over the square are posters, one of which is currently kind of draping off of where it had been tacked up, revealing the one behind it. And the one behind it, that is now visible, reads, "Come one, come all, to the greatest celebration, the Wolf's Head Jamboree. Attendants and children required. Pikes will be provided." And in all caps, "All will be well, the Baron." And as the guards pass this, one of them just swears under his breath, lets go of her arm for a moment, steps over, and tacks up the poster that had been drooping. And that poster reads, "Come one, come all, to the greatest celebration of the year, the festival of the blazing sun. Attendants and children required. Rain or shine, all will be well, the Baron." Uh, and he steps back over to her, drags her up to the stocks, removes the manacles from her wrists, and locks her in them, and places a donkey mask from a box next to the stocks over her head. Um, and as he turns to walk away, he just sucker punches her in the gut and spits on her and leaves with the other guard. And you now see 3 men, 2 women, and 2 children, probably boys from the way they're dressed, that are locked here. She's less worse for the wear than the others, but the rest are clearly tired, wet, and probably dehydrated and hungry. Nobody's throwing tomatoes or anything, but this clearly causes additional nerves to kind of ripple through the people filling, vessels of water here. And there's some hushed muttering and sidelong glances before everybody does their best to just not think about it.
No
Um,
charges or anything read out?
If you're curious, there are posted notices in them, like on the front of the raised platform.
I am curious.
Okay. In fact, all of them are stated to be imprisoned for the same thing: malicious unhappiness and spreading of negative opinions about the upcoming festival of the Baron. Burgerminster. I'm sorry, I keep doing that.
If I can find a guard nearby, I'd like to ask how long they're to remain in the stocks.
Hmm. He would look you over and recognize that you're not a local. Um, all who spend time in the stocks are sentenced for a variety of time, but these, he says, pointing to each, are due to be released 3 days hence.
And they receive food and water while they're up there. The idea being that this is a punishment, but once you've received your punishment, now you know not to do it again.
Food and water are delivered once every 4 days.
but
And
they're
he
only
smiles
up
at you.
there for 3.
One of them is yes.
Oh,
And this
one
is
of
a
'em.
minor offense.
Wait, what? Did I miss something?
No, Frank was just saying that, well, they're only sentenced for 3 more days. The implication being that
That's what I assume, but
yeah,
like, why would he say it that way then? Because like she just went up. Why would he say
she did.
they're all down in 3 days?
No, that is related to every prisoner in the stocks fed once and given water once every 4. That is the blanket way they do it. I'm sorry if that was a confusing phrasing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
She's
once every
only
four
got
days.
3 more days left, but these people have been here for a while. It didn't rain this morning, but
Oh, I thought she was fresh in the stacks.
she is. The other 5 are not.
So they
6.
all
The other
have different
6.
length sentences
Are
for
th-
the
are
same
they?
offense.
Is it all for unhappiness?
Yes, they are all assigned the same thing. However, one might think maybe they need the room for something intended. I think you're clever enough to put that together.
They gonna get executed. Maybe,
Maybe.
possibly. I mean, that's what I'm guessing. Because I mean, it wouldn't be beyond me to instill fear into people to being happy.
Where's the festival taking place tomorrow?
Here in the square, and he will point to a different platform kind of further down, that has like a big wooden, kind of like elevated stage to speak from has been set up, and you see there is a big like beginning of a giant bonfire that has been set down, and also a spike that looks like it has some like grooves and notches cut in it, assembled on presumably this blazing sun that they keep speaking of. That's probably like another 100 feet down the way. This is a fairly large area.
I'm not gonna make a scene here. Thought process being, if I can't get them down, at least give these people some food and water until they're released. But if there's anyone that's gonna do that, it's probably Father Lucian and the Mardikovs.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of doubt they necessarily risk too much for it, but
Well, you might get the impression that assisting a criminal is a criminal act.
it is. So I assume that they would try to hide it.
If only if someone can disguise themselves as a guard to let these people go.
That is true. And if you're considering that, you can see that the stalks are, your typical wooden, hole for your head in each of your hands.
Yeah.
But they are secured with fairly large and fairly medium to low quality looking padlocks.
Be only somebody that can disguise themselves as the guards though that has thieves tools.
Mm-hmm.
And if only there was some strong and handsome guy with all of those skills available to them that could save these people.
Shit, it's almost 8:10. Okay. Let's wrap this scene, but then I gotta call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the guard just kind of like Irvir, I think mostly is just kind of studying it with like detached amusement. Like, this should be obvious. They did crime. Now comes the punishment.
I think I've said anything to imply otherwise yet.
No, but you did show curiosity, and most people here, just as you saw, don't interact with it as much as they are afraid of this, if that makes any sense. The fact that you're questioning it is unusual to him, and he's just like,
Yeah. If it's that glaringly obvious, just for toy with, sorry, from out of town, and we do things a little bit differently where I'm from, so trying to get the lay of the land, if you will.
How many people are around right now besides the people that are locked up?
maybe like 10 or 15.
It's too many people for me to sleep at once.
Yeah, that is true. I love the idea that that's just become your signature spell, though, somehow.
It's just like fucking
Sleep.
sleep them.
So we're gonna have to get you a capstone spell once you level up enough. You know, name it after you. Our Lug's nap time.
Right.
I mean,
But yeah, I'd say yeah, maybe 10 or 15, give or take. Plus, there's a few guards kind of scattered around the perimeter here.
Let him ritual cast it, but he has to maintain a headlock.
Right. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. But yeah, I feel like if you're curious about whether or not there are eyes around guards at the stage, two that will be watching this at most time. But because of the presence of the guard here, there's not really roles in the same way there are. If that makes any sense. They're just kind of stationed here rather than wandering the square.
Seems like perfect time to go burn down a house.
Arson and nap time. Truly the tools of a hero. But yeah, you know, people kind of filter in and out. Standing here. This is clearly like the main water source for this.
I have
Okay.
nothing further than I want to do here, I don't think.
That's fair enough.
It would all
I
end in
just-
disaster.
It does give you an idea of the layout of the festival grounds in addition to seeing the stocks though. If you zoom in, the stage is to the east end of this area and the fountain is on the west end. And that's where the stocks are. Positioned so that if anybody wants to come get water, they have to see this.
What a dick.
Yep. Police state.
For the sake of
Um,
for the sake of next session, what do we want to do? Are we just gonna go to sleep, or are we gonna have a plan? We're gonna do something.
You talk to the Mardikovs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I figure it'll be talking to the Mardikovs, but you guys have a vague plan, right? Plan A is forgery. Plan B, if that doesn't seem viable, seems to be the quietest and least collateral damage execution of the Baron as possible.
yeah, I would probably want to.
But I feel like okay, we forged the document, then what? We just leave it somewhere for someone else to find. I mean, if we turn it in, won't we be the main we're gonna have a harder time sneaking in and killing them if that goes wrong? Is what I'm saying.
Well, that's where we would use either the Mardikovs or Walker, or
Yeah.
To do
say,
it for
okay,
us.
here's the plan. we have our forgery. We need to start executing this plan. You know the town better than us. Where do we put this? Who do we talk to? What kind of channels do we use? Et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
There's a part of that that's out of our control to an extent.
Yeah, and again, I'll just assume.
Uh-oh.
Um, God damn it! I know I cut out again. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
As you head back towards the Blue Water, you can kind of have a hushed conversation about this, and we don't need to do it fully in character, thing, especially because we're strapped for time. But I think Irina would make the point that if the intent is to do that, it may be best to do so when the town is gathered and have somebody in a position of power make an accusation. You will have an audience, he won't be able to cover it up.
Yeah.
I like that.
And that does present some of that risk of a riot, but not nearly as much as a overt assassination of the Baron does. Um, he would have to make a pretty convincing counter argument in order to not be at least led away in chains. Safety of him and his family, if that makes sense. Like, the guards would know, hey, we can't let people be near you right now. And if the way to get you away from the angry mob is that we pretend to lock you up, that's what we're going to have to do. And she would note, though, it's hard to say how Ezek would react to such an accusation. He might just be hot-headed enough to come unglued.
And
But
the Mardikovs might have a little bit of dirt on Wachter too, so we know it's like, okay, what are the counter arguments? What kind of
right,
shit have they been up to? What's their rep like? How well will the town respond to her making accusations?
all good
Although if
information to
someone like
have.
Irina makes accusations, well,
Exactly.
That's true. She does seem to be well liked by pretty much everybody in town. Um, at least as far as the small folk go. I mean, she's friendly with the priest, she's friendly with the Martikovs, everybody in the bar seemed to know her. Um, and like you've seen how Irina carries herself, right? She may be of no blood, but like she's
he's a
not
man of the
snooty.
people.
Yes, she's much more a man of the people, and she's from a very small town where that would be more how that works. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, hard to be snooty when there's 8 people you know by name.
Right. Well, valid. The Barovia village has like a population of I think like 60 or something in total. But Valaki has hundreds, so it's a very different scale here. Um, but yeah, kind of mulling over these questions of how to navigate a difficult political powder keg, you would all head back to the Blue Water for a drink and perhaps some useful information. And we will
Heck yeah.
pick up there next session around a hearth fire with some ale and hopefully have some better answers than we did today. But yeah,
We may
It'll be nice to
end
have a
up
third party opinion versus
right.
people that are directly affected.
Yeah, have
we may end
like
up
a
doing
neutral.
stuff tomorrow in game, or I guess
Mhm. Tonight,
whatever. You know what
it's
I
kind
mean.
of like 2
So we
p.m.
shouldn't level up tonight or for next session just in case. I mean, leveling's pretty quick, but it is
I
level 4,
think,
so people are getting an ASI or a feat.
yeah, I think have it planned. And realistically, I've actually the
You cut
having
out
you
realistically, and then you trailed off.
at the pace this mod, I think only leveling up.
We
You
lost
got
you.
cut out after
Yeah.
only leveling up.
Only
God
leveling up.
Mod moves.
fucking
Only
damn it!
leveling up.
Only
Like,
leveling up on a long rest might mean there are times where it goes so far between long rests that you level up twice. And that's stupid. So when you short rest, I'm gonna let that happen, which will presumably be at the Blue Water,
Yeah.
unless you're rushing out the door immediately.
Yeah, I think we'll sit and talk for an hour.
Yeah, I mean,
So
if it's 2 p.m. right now and we talk for an hour, then take a like 4 hour short rest. So
Well, I mean,
right,
talking should be a rest, right? Because we're just hanging
yes,
out at a bar.
yeah. If you're just hanging out and drinking and
oh,
talking,
that
is a short
counts as
rest.
a short rest. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe the definition is that you cannot be undertaking any strenuous activity.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, you
chit
could
chat and
try to
work.
attune
Yeah,
to an item if you just want to focus on that and not chit
Yes.
chat. You could sit there and make some shit out of some shit
Or
you have.
or like how in the other campaign when I just read from my book.
Exactly. You just read from your book.
Yeah. And I'm even okay with conversation as long as you're not the one driving it. Like you can listen in, if you're attuning
Or
or
I mean,
whatever.
or if it's like not a plot related conversation, it's just chit chat, like small talk kind of thing.
Right.
Nothing. We don't have to act out, basically.
Yeah. So fuck it. You want to level up? Go for it. The next thing you
Alright,
plan to do is short rest. So just go ahead.
alright. Sounds good to me.
Uh, but yeah, good session, everybody. I
Heck
had
yeah.
fun. And yeah, this is the thing. I have always included RP encounters as encounters, as far as XP goes, especially when you're navigating a difficult situation like this, right? So walking down the street and talking to, assorted
Granny.
townsfolk, right? Well, you did meet one granny that is
Well, I
potentially
mean,
interesting,
I
but
mean, I guess Dave got addicted to pies after
that
that.
is true. You did meet
Facts.
granny drug dealer, but what I mean is like, yeah, you can't just like talk to random NPCs and gain XP, but these are big plot relevant,
No,
tense
this
roleplay
is
encounters.
this definitely
So
seems like something that has consequences. So
exactly.
Besides hangovers and a hunger for pies.
Yes. But yeah, so I say go ahead and hit 4.
all right,
Where's the level
And
up tool again?
it's
it's
on
It's
your
It's
in
like
the
character
the
sheet.
anvil
D&D symbol at the top. Yeah.
Yeah,
next to your
next to your
character's
level.
name.
Ah,
I guess it is, yeah, next to the class or whatever.
The
yeah.
magic of the character mancer, which really is the most efficient thing ever. Uh, and unfortunately, our Pathfinder game that we run, the way Pathfinder works, you have to technically own the books, and
Mm.
Pathfinder is so open source that like we lost track at like I think it was 32 books we would need to buy in order to have everybody's stuff just be there. So we have to do it all manually, and
Yep.
it's a bummer. But anyway, yeah, I gotta go pack a lunch and get ready and stuff for tomorrow. But
All
thank
right.
you everybody for playing.
Yep.
I had a very
Thanks for
good
Yep.
time.
hosting.
Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
it was fun.
If you have any, level up questions or whatever, feel free to Badoop me. I'll be awake for the next, 20 minutes or whatever. But everybody have a good night.
You
All right.
too.
And I will. Oh, actually,
Later.
wait. Last thing, scheduling. Are we good for next week?
Probably.
Yeah, I ain't got shit
Yes.
going on.
Okay.
It's Thanksgiving this
Start.
Thursday, but I don't got anything going on Monday.
should be.
And
If anything comes up, I'll let you guys know.
okay. And then for the record, the following week I will be in Chicago visiting my parents.
Your
Wow.
ferret.
Darn wife. Parent.
Yeah.
Strahd. That's me trying to type and talk at the same time. But that will be November 18th, and we will be good for same time. So let's create that. Copy. And let's get that on the schedule. Let's paste. But yeah. All right. Thank
Heck
you
yeah,
very much,
dudes.
guys. Everybody have
Yep.
a good
Catch
night.
you later.
It's running
Peace.
at night.
See ya.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
No riots. Thanks, Mike.
I almost feel bad that I kind of want to lean towards just killing them now in the night.
Seems like a lot simpler of a solution.
Just for out of character for you guys.
31. Okay. Yeah, I think it's more of just a once you get the judicial system involved, there's a lot more hands in the cookie jar.
Well, this is a podunk village in a country of 3 towns with a police state. There's no judicial system.
So then, who's to say that he just won't be like, no? You know what I mean?
The people.
And then they start getting
and the
murdered by the
guard.
guards.
Well, as Zach
The
just
guard aren't
said,
a-
too,
They're
guards
not
just
really
go
on
like,
his side.
You're fucked if you stay out here, so you gotta go. So we'll put you in jail for now because that's safest. And then it's all nobility based. So you have the people
mean,
are against this noble, and this other noble saying they'll take their place. Okay, sounds good to us.
Yeah, it's like, hey, listen, guards. Here's all that money I've been giving you. Here's some more. Go kill that bitch while I'm in jail. Oh, she died in her sleep. I guess I have to be barge master again, unfortunately.
Well, and if the guards believe it too, then the guards go, "Oh, fuck this guy then." And
Especially if what's her name has the bread. You know what I mean? She got the dollar bills.
Yeah. Your big problem is your captain of the guard being Ezek.
Yeah, but that's a problem already. It's not like it's already a problem.
But in this scenario, if the captain of the guard is gonna be like, "Fuck everything they're all saying."
Fuck it, then it's us and the guards against him instead of us versus him and the guards.
True. Assuming they all listen, so that could go.
That's a major factor, right?
But yeah, there's no judicial system. We just saw someone get dragged out into the stocks for the crime of being unhappy.
Right.
Shit, you're gonna be fucked.
If this were a real judicial system, I'd be filing all sorts of motions and appeals.
Right?
You damn ace attorney.
And then they'd just be like, nope, I'm in the rule. In fact, for saying something, put him in the shackles.
I mean, I did just get suggested of a video of if Columbo solving a Death Note for some reason.
There you go.
I saw that video pop up in my feed a while back too. Unfortunately, it doesn't really go into how he could solve it. It's more just like his conversation with Kira.
I figured it
I was
wasn't
a little
actually.
disappointed. I was like, how would Columbo